Welcome to this first training video on the job optimization practices. We're going to start with the actual optimization practices sheet. So we're going to focus on the ad title in this particular video. So with the ad title, this is probably one of the most overlooked areas of optimization that people kind of miss, mostly because a lot of recruiters and HR professionals forget that at the end of the day, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, a lot of the major search engines or job boards are search engines. And because they are search engines, it becomes pretty critical that you approach a job board like a search engine, which means your job ad has to be search engine friendly and search engine optimized. Where that starts is the actual ad title. So there are a few rules to be aware of. So one of the first rules is the 6-word maximum. So Indeed is one of the biggest ones, job boards that actually enforces this rule. So if your ad title is bigger than 6 words, they will oftentimes truncate the rest of the words of your ad title. So you want to make sure your ad title is pretty short. One of their main philosophies is that the job title should just simply be what you would see on a business card. So for example, on a business card, you're not going to see full-time, part-time, bonus, immediate opening, things of that nature, which oftentimes is considered clickbait. So avoiding clickbait means that you need to make sure that your job title focuses on just what the position is and not other elements of the job, such as location and clickbait, things like bonus, immediate opening, things like that. Most of the time, if you think about it from a search engine perspective, candidates aren't searching for those other keywords anyway. And so it's actually in your best interest not to include those clickbait items. The other thing is to avoid acronyms. So probably one of the biggest examples is like a registered nurse. I have a lot of companies in that field and they use RN, LPN, things of that nature. The reality is those types of positions, most applicants, when they conduct their search, they do not use acronyms in their search. Now, it's not to say that you cannot target those keywords, the acronyms as keywords, which I'll explain here in just a few minutes with the 1% to 2% rule. But the key is to understand that because it's a search engine, you want to focus on the actual keyword and not acronyms. So that's really critical. The final piece of this particular training is the 1% to 2% rule. So in my book, I talk about the importance of how this keyword becomes a critical grading element, if you will, of the algorithm of the search engine. So every search engine has an algorithm that basically ranks and grades your position. And when you get ranked and graded, this is what actually determines whether or not you appear on the first page of the search results. It has nothing to do with refreshing the job or posting it again or things like that. That has nothing to do with the way the algorithm ranks your positions. Your use of the keyword becomes a critical piece. So for example, in my previous example of registered nurse, if registered nurse is my target keyword and I want to be found from applicants that are searching for a registered nurse, then I need to make sure that within the body of the job ad, that registered nurse is used 1% to 2% of the time. So for example, if my job ad is 300 words, then the 1% is 3, 2% is 6. So what that means is I need to make sure that the word registered nurse is within the body of my ad at least 3 times and up to 6 times for an ad that is 300 words. That's extremely important because what that does is that tells the algorithm how critical and important this particular keyword is to your ad itself. And as a result, the algorithm will rank you better for that particular search term. Now, the other nice part about this rule is you can use this same rule to target additional keywords. So for example, let's say that we're a registered nurse and we particularly work with youth or we work in a particular department or a type of nurse. Then what happens is within the body of your ad, you can include some of those additional keywords that will also target those keywords to make them searchable so that when applicants are conducting their searches, your position will be more readily available in those search results. Now, researching the ad title is kind of the last part of this training. I'm actually going to remove this best practices sheet for just a moment, and we're actually going to look at Indeed, and I want to show you what happens when a candidate is conducting a search on Indeed. You'll notice if I use the same term that I'm using in this example of registered nurse, as you start typing in the keyword, The algorithm and the website itself is using smart technology to try to guess what you're typing already. And so a lot of us are familiar with this with our cell phones. We text friends all the time. And as we're texting, oftentimes our phone tries to guess the word we're typing in so that we don't have to type it all out. Well, guess what? 80% of applicants that are searching on Indeed are on mobile devices. And so Indeed has added this smart feature to allow the applicant to pick from a series of keywords that are very popular searches. And so the cool part about this is this can actually help you as an organization to do some research on whether or not the keyword that you're selecting for your job is a relevant keyword. So for example, if I'm posting a job, one of my titles in my career was a career development advisor. And as a career development advisor, I was just a recruiter. I wasn't even when you think about it, like if we do a search like this, you'll notice that most of this comes up is to be like a director over career services at colleges and universities. Like I've done this search hundreds of times, but what I was actually looking for was a recruiting position because I was a recruiter. Even though internally my title was career development advisor, all I was just a recruiter. And so candidates will learn very quickly when they conduct their job searches to use search terms that are actually relevant to the role that they seek. And so sometimes internally as a company, we might call a position one thing, but the way applicants are searching for it might be a whole nother thing. And so this is important to understand that when you're doing your keyword research and researching the job title, you can use Indeed. You can also use SEObook.com. This is a free resource. You can sign up for a free account and you can kind of see what keywords and relevant search terms are very popular right now. These are some great tools. I like to use Indeed the most, but like I said, you can use some of these additional tools to kind of research this keyword to make sure that it's a relevant search term that applicants are actually looking for on the internet. Especially on places like Indeed, Google, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, and a lot of the major job boards that are really search engines at their core. So this is the first step of optimization practices: researching your job title, avoiding clickbait, making sure that you follow the 6-word maximum on your job titles, avoiding acronyms, and then following the 1 to 2% rule to ensure that your keyword is targeted within the body of your ad at least 1 to 2% of the time.